All right. So, good morning. Today is the Comparing Constitutions PowerPoint and guided notes. I'm going to jump right into it. I don't want to take too long on this. So, let's go straight to sharing our screen. Let's see, let's get to our assignment. There we go. All right. And here we go. So, right now, this is the share recording. Yep, we're recording. All right, very good. So, under our assignment here today, you were given the guided notes. We're just going to open that up real quick. You should have hopefully downloaded it and put it, and then we were going to open into Adobe Acrobat. So I am going to switch to our actual document, which is on this page. So here we go with our guided notes. So I am going to go ahead and open up the fill and sign so that we are ready to go. And then we're going to move into our PowerPoint. So here we go. Now, everything we've learned up to this point, again, is established strictly, mainly for the U.S. Constitution. We've learned a little bit about the Florida and some of the different things from how the government's run, governor, we have a legislature, there's the judicial side, there's a lot of similarities. But there are very big differences between these two constitutions. And so we're just going to highlight this. And then this is the last thing you're going to learn in civics this year. So let's just cover this quickly. And so lastly, we were working on federalism, obviously. And so this is now the guiding documents that run these. So here we have an understanding that each of the governments, the Constitution, very similar in their structure. There's a few differences that we're going to point out in particular, but a lot of there's the similarities. The first thing we want to take away from list four ways Florida is like most states. All right, let's go ahead and fill this in. I forgot, this was our first one. So Florida is like most states because, all right, well, it provides a basic framework for government. So I'm going to just leave this up and copy it over, and then I'll show you my screen. So we're typing in, it provides a basic framework of government. All right, and then if I share through my notes, you will see it's in there. It provides a basic framework of government. All right, while we're looking for number two, I'll just type this one in. It is, oops, bicameral, all right, or made up of two houses. All right, and we should say, I forgot, we should say legislature, so we know exactly what it is. All right, legislature is bicameral. All right, now this gets us to the third thing. All right, simply said, it has separation of powers. Oops, we don't need to have that capitalized. All right, and then lastly, all right, while it might not seem it, you might think the president has more power. But let me show you the last one that we're going to type in again. This one actually says Florida Constitution grants more power to the legislative branch than to the executive. So, and this is strictly for states. The federal government, it's supposed to be equal, but it's with the most states, they actually give a little bit more power to the to the legislative than the executive. So we're going to type that gives, oops, again. So we'll just say gives more power to legislative branch than executive. All right. Now, what makes Florida different than the other states is on the other side. All right. Now, executive cabinet is elected. That's the first one there. So we're going to type executive cabinet is elected. Now, this is important to understand because right now, if you were to know what's going on in Florida, we have a Republican governor, a Republican attorney general, a Republican, one other person, and then we have a Democrat who's in charge of the agriculture department. So, do you think that DeSantis would have picked a Democrat? Absolutely not. So the unique thing is the people pick the cabinet positions, unlike normally where an executive, the leader would pick his own cabinet. All right, number 2 says many Florida commissions and boards are administered jointly by the governor and cabinet. All right, so basically what that's saying is that the governor doesn't work independently over top of the cabinet. They work, the cabinet and the governor work together. So we're going to add that in. We'll just say governor and cabinet work together. 3, Florida establishes an automatic and regular review of the Constitution. So regularly reviews Constitution. And this is important because this is going to get to the very next thing, which we're talking about how many different constitutions we've had. And then lastly, there is no state, oops, income tax. So I'm going to shoot this up to you right now so you can see this if you haven't been copying down and waiting for me to show it. So again, we have number 2, list 4 ways Florida is unlike most states, no state income tax. That's the biggest one. That is the one that makes Florida so amazing. You'll have CEOs from companies all across the United States will have a home in Florida that they call their main residence. Why? Because there's no state income tax. All right. I guarantee you it's a question on the 10-question quiz. All right. So right there, which one of these is why Florida is unlike most states? No state income tax will be the answer. All right. So, all right, as we can see here now, we're going to go dive straight into some of the more details. So let's get back to our PowerPoint itself. All right, so here we've had actually 6 different constitutions. We've only had 2 in our nation. All right. We did the Articles of Confederation, a bust, and then the US Constitution has been in power since 1791 or 90. All right. I think once the Bill of Rights was finally added was 91. All right. So 87 it says here to the present. All right. Now, Florida has 6. Our last one was done in 1968, and that's the most recent one. So, all right, let's look back at our worksheet. All right, how many constitutions has the US had? Well, we've had 2. But how many constitutions has Florida had? It's had 6. All right. Now, we're just going to look at 3 similarities and 3 differences. All right, so let's get back to our PowerPoint. All right, so again, 2, here's the 2, we've had 6, just a couple pictures of some of the different ones. All right, here they are, the actual years of all our different constitutions. Now, here are similarities. All right, so this says, what are the 3? All right, so we've got both start out with preambles, they both have articles, and they both list rights. So let's go ahead and type these in. We're on to number 5A, starting out with, we can say, just say preambles. We're going to do the short preambles. Next, we're going to do articles. And lastly, list of rights. All right. Yes, Elizabeth, let me open your microphone. I'm looking in chat. Let's see. Will this be in video in Edmodo? Yes, of course. It's legit the last full week of school. Yes. And well, duh, I know that. Will this be in video in Edmodo, Mr. Hadimer? Yes, of course. And let's see, someone raised their hand. So let me manage participants. All right, is that it? Was that your only one question, Alexi?
Yes, because I didn't download an Acrobat
That's
the
fine.
worksheet, and I was trying to do it on my own notebook, but you're going a little too fast, so I just
Yeah,
wanted to know
I'm just
if
trying
it
to
was
blow
on
through
video
this.
so I can do it.
Yep, I'll be posting this as soon as we're done here. So, all
Thank
right,
you.
very good. So I'll get back to muting everybody. All right, so here we are. Let me share with you the current screen just so we can see what I wrote down. Number 5 again, we have preambles. They both have preambles. They both have articles. I think they have 12 articles. US has, sorry, Florida has 12 articles. US has 7. And they both have a list of rights. We call ours the Bill of Rights. They call ours the Declaration of Rights. All right, let's move on back to our PowerPoint. And we're looking now for differences. All right, share, let's see. Oops. All right. So now, these are our differences, right? So main thing, we know our Constitution is just like I think they fit it all in one page. So it's pretty short. Florida, wow, 50,000 words. It's 10 times longer than ours. There's 27 amendments in 200 years. Florida's been amended over 100 times since 1968 alone. That's, you know, more than 100 times in less than I've been alive. All right, that's a lot. So let's go ahead and fill this in now on our worksheet. All right, so what are the main differences again? They are, all right, US, oops, we're just doing shorthand in a sense. So I'm going to say US short, get some space, Florida, oops, Florida, long, and specific. All right, it's important. You know, there's a lot of interpretation into our Constitution, but in Florida Constitution, there's no real interpretation. It's very clearly spelled out. All right, we can go quickly short on this one. This one is easy. It's just Florida. We're going to say 10 times longer. All right, it's really long to the point of over 50,000 words. All right, long and wordy. And then lastly, amended over 100 times since 1968. All right, that's a lot. All right, now 7, we're going to just play fill in the blank here. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, so at 4,000 words, it's the oldest and shortest of any major government. It's only 4 pages long, doesn't define who is a citizen or who can vote. Obviously, we've changed that over the years by our amendments, but the actual document itself. And then Florida, it just deals with so many different things here. All right, and by the way, there's an answer to a quiz right there. So, which part of Florida Constitution protects individual rights? It's the Declaration of Rights. So that's the answer. You're seeing the quiz, the question right there. I'm telling you, that's one right there. All right. So very specific. We got details on all kinds of different things in our Constitution. So here's our preambles. We can go through and see there's some similarities and some differences between the way they are words, but they each have a preamble. All right, here's our rights being listed out. Now, I think this is our question number 7. So as we can see here, our Bill of Rights, they are the first what? They are the first 10 amendments. So in question 7, we know the Bill of Rights contain the first 10 amendments. All right, so let's share that. All right, so we can see the Bill of Rights contains the first 10 amendments for the U.S. Constitution, while the Bill of Rights, what would be the other one called? It's called the Declaration of Rights. Oops. Contains how many different ones? Well, this one is actually 27, so huge differences in just the size between each one. All right, and let's see, what are we looking at right now? Yep. All right, so we can see number 7's filled out. Number 8 says, what are the similar rights between the two constitutions? All right, let's look at these. All right, we can see freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of assembly, right to bear arms. Right, all these here are listed out. So take any of these. You could write them all down. If you want to, you could write just a few of them down. Oops. All right, so I'm going to just start typing some in as I leave this up here. But so you got the 5 freedoms. They both have the 5 freedoms. So I'm just going to write down 5 freedoms. All right. And then I say right to bear arms. Ha ha ha. Silly Mr. Hattemer. Oops. Bear arms. Oh wait. Yeah, bear arms. Right to bear arms. We got search and seizure, comma, excessive punishments. And then lastly, we'll throw in at the bottom, trial by jury. All right, so those are all the same. Now let's look back over and let's look at what are some of the differences. I'm guessing that's on the next slide. All right, well, we got some more similars. Here we go. These are differences. Now, none of these are basically in the US Constitution. These are all strictly within just the Florida. So I'm going to go again. We're just going to be adding these into our notes so we have them written down, which means Florida is a right to works state. That means, if you don't know what that means, I'm going to put it in parentheses, no unions. And I'll show you this one so you can understand what I'm sharing, or what I'm typing, I mean. Oh, no, you're seeing that right now, so never mind. Let me just show this. I'm sorry, I thought I was showing the other page. So again, these are our ones that are not in the Bill of Rights. So this is the list that I'm copying down from. Let's get back to our worksheet. All right, so right to work and no unions. No unions mean usually wages are a little bit cheaper here. You cannot, comma, say, cannot be imprisoned for debts. All right, that's really important because you can't go to what's called like a debtor's prison. All right, sometimes they used to be able to put people in jail if you had too many debts. All right, marriage is defined. All right, again, it's the state's responsibilities, not the government's. We'll add a couple more. Right to privacy. This is important. Another reason why Florida is very different from a lot of the other states, having a right to privacy means the government can't just come in. In some of these more democratic states, government has a lot more freedom to enter your home without permission. And let's see, what else we'll do a taxpayer's bill of rights. That sounds interesting. All right, so we'll call it taxpayer bill of rights. Now, again, this is also really important because Florida became known as a place where people would come at the end of their lives to retire. And so they're coming to Florida early for tax purposes. And so they ended up creating a taxpayer bill of rights to make sure that the people of Florida were protected. They couldn't be overtaxed in Florida. So, here are some of these. These are some of the different things that we're going to list. So let's get back to our PowerPoint, and how many more questions we got? Just about 4 more questions. So number 10, what are the similarities between the federal government and the Florida legislative branches? Let's see what that one shows. All right, so these again, we're not in the Constitution now. We've already seen there is 3 branches in each of them. We also have a 2-house lawmaking body, which is the legislative branch. The differences are the size. So we'll draw the highlights. I'm going to go through this and then we'll write things down. So we can see the size of them. Senators, 2 per state in the US, only 1 per district in the Florida. We can see how the districts are drawn out between the House and the Senate a little differently, because again, you only have so many senators versus you have a lot more House members. All right, here's our executive branch. All right, the cabinet's all appointed by the president. Here, we get to elect 4 of them. All right, we get the governor, attorney general, commissioner of agriculture, and the chief financial officer. All right, and we can see some more of this. This is the old group. They're all changed. Now we have DeSantis. There's another woman. She's over the agriculture. And I don't remember who the other people are personally. All right. The leader, we don't call our leader the president, we call our leader the governor. Supreme Court, they have 9, they're appointed for life. Florida has 7 and they aren't. They get appointed by the governor and then we vote to retain them. Most of the times the people just vote to get out, to get new ones in. So sometimes that can be more of a revolving door in Florida, unlike it is for the Supreme Court. All right. So we're going to go through now and look at 10 and 11. And we're going to, maybe even 12. So let's go back to our worksheet and we're going to fill these out. Oops, cool. Here we go. All right, so first off, we start with what are the similarities between the Florida government, federal government, and the Florida legislature? Well, those are easy. All right, we know that it's, first off, we have 3 branches. Branches. You could also say, and 2 houses. We're looking for just the similarities. 3 branches, 2 houses. And executive. And a Supreme Court. All right, let's see, anything else? All right, those are all the similarities. Now let's talk about some differences. All right, so we can know that the differences are how the senators are chosen. Let's see, oops. We'll just go 1 per district. For senators instead of 2 per state. All right. We could say cabinet elected by the people. And lastly, we'll go to the judicial branch and we'll say 7 judges to 9. And go to the next line. Oops. All right, 7 judges to 9, and people vote to retain or hold on to, which is what retain means, judges. All right, so those are the big differences. So instead of 2 senators, we get 1. Instead of the executive elected in the cabinet is elected by the people, and then instead of 9 judges, we have 7, and the people vote to retain or hold on to the judges. They don't serve for life. All right. Now, specifically, oh, I just realized I'm doing the differences in all of them in the 1. All right, so I'll just kind of cut these out. All right, so you guys are watching me do this. All right, so I'm just gonna move this. So we're gonna cut this out. Control X, Control V, Control X. I'll go down to judicial branch. I only have the differences. Oh, this is supposed to be differences. I messed up. I'm so sorry, guys. All right, let's just wrap this up as quickly as we can. All right, so again, what are the similarities? An executive All right. This should say differences here. I only did the differences for the judicial branch. So the judicial branch, the differences here is we said that the cabinet is elected by the people. So I'm going to cut that one out, and I'm going to put that one here where the difference should be. Cabinet elected by the people. And then this one should say Control X, Control V, and let's say 7 judges to 9, and I'm going to cut out this one. Up, Control X, Control V. All right, 7 to 9 judges, and people vote to retain and hold on to judges. All right, so I'm going to leave this up here. I apologize for that. We could add to the executive. They have an executive, comma, a leader, and a cabinet. All right. So I think that shows us everything. All right, so we have differences, 1 per district of senators instead of 2 per state. All right, it's a main difference. We have the similarity, executive leader, and a cabinet. The difference is the cabinet is elected by the people. So this should say differences. Again, so here, let me just type that in there right there so we can see. All right. All right, so Ali Marie, who are you? Let me just, let's see. All right, Ali Marie, who are you?
I'm Alexis.
Alexis, how you doing?
Good.
All right, so yes, this will be a video, so you'll be able to go back and look at the first 9 later. All right, so let me get back to muting, and I will wrap this thing up here. I just wanted to make sure I was keeping up with everybody. Yeah. All right. So let's see, we got the differences, 13, 14. I'm showing that page still. All right, good. All right, so let's get back to number 15 now. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the amendment process. And again, just a re-mentioning of the supremacy clause. So let's get back to our PowerPoint. So, so here we go. This is really important. We've talked about it just a little bit. Unfortunately, in class, I would have presented this a lot more easier for you to understand, and I've drawn things up and stuff. So hopefully you're gonna we've really focused on how the US gets amended, all right? So over here on the left side, it's 2/3 of both houses propose, and then 3/4 of the states ratify. So that side we've already talked about. Now, what we're going to be really trying to understand now is the difference of how Florida does it, because they have the same process, being proposing, and then number 2 is ratifying, but it's a proposal that's very different. So there's going to be 3 ways we're going to look at this. So the first thing is this time we can have the House and the Senate, but it's 3/5, which is a weird number. We don't really have a number like this any other time. But 3/5 of House and Senate propose. All right. The second one is a Constitution Commission. So this is actually a group of people that literally meet once every 20 years, Constitution Commission. Every 20 years. Constitution Commission meets every 20 years. All right. And then lastly, and I'll shift over to the worksheet so you can see these going in. And then the last one, number C, we have what's called an 8% petition. We're just going to write it out that way, and I'm going to explain what it means in just a little bit. 8% petition. Now, we've talked a lot about medical marijuana throughout this year. So again, this is a great example of how this all works. So I'm going to go back to our slide so you can see the PowerPoint as I'm explaining this. Now, what happened literally in 2014, people stood in front of the DMV with a big petition and a list of signatures, and they said, would you please sign our petition? So that particular petition said, do you think that there should be medical marijuana in the state of Florida? So people would sign their name. Once they got enough signatures that represented 8% of the amount of people that can vote, not the citizens, just how many are registered voters. Once you get to that 8%, now it goes to the ballot, all right? So it becomes a proposal. So once it hits that 8%, it automatically goes. Nobody has a say in it. As they have 8% signatures, which could be maybe 1 million, let's say. Once they have 1 million signatures, it's on the ballot no matter what. So there's been some silly things that have been put on the ballots before, because as long as they have 8%, it automatically will make it. All right. Now, ratification can be a little different though. All right. So ratification will add a little bit to the end of this, but needs 60% to ratify. Oops, forgot that, to ratify. All right. So these are the important things here again. So what are we looking at right now? Still on the PowerPoint. All right, so let me show this one more time. 8% petition, but needs 60% of voters to ratify. All right, so again, number 16 says, what is it again? It is 8%. So you need to know that number. All right, it's going to be an answer on the quiz. Now, lastly, we'll go back to our PowerPoint one more time, and we'll just wrap this up. So here we see some of the different examples. Here's the 3/5 proposal by the House. Here's a Constitution Commission. These are the 20 people that met back in, I think it was 2018 was the last group. So the next one will be 2038. And then the 8% of the petition, this one here is for solar. I don't know what this one is. These are just some of the different ones. Again, this looks like a solar one down here too. Solar seems to be always getting added to the amendments because people are trying to get discounts for using solar. All right. Now, whoops. So again, in a nutshell, if you're looking at this page here in your PowerPoints, you know, taking a mental picture of this. Now, it's important. Why do we have the supremacy clause at the end of our guided notes here? Because while we're talking about the states and comparing these two constitutions, does the Florida Constitution have more power than the US Constitution? No, we know that it's not. So the reason why we have a supremacy clause, again, is to say that this US Constitution is the highest and it can't be in the Florida Constitution because the Florida Constitution ultimately still has the answer to both federal laws and the Constitution itself. So here again is that slide one more time. But what does it say again? It says that the Constitution and federal laws are the supreme law of the land and superior to state laws. We copied it down once before. That's basically what you copy down for the last one. Same thing as we did in the last. I just want to make sure it's here again because you understand how important it is. All right. So At this point, that should be it. So there's a review. So I'm just going to go straight into the review today. So how many constitutions has Florida had? 6. What year was Florida's current constitution? Easy, 1968. So that's our last one. Okay. Constitution is longer, the US or Florida? Well, 50,000 words, I would think you would select Florida. What are some similarities between the US and Florida constitutions? Well, again, that answer was in number, let's see. I think that's back to number 8. We had all those similarities. So there's a lot of them listed here. No, that's actually, we're going even further back. So I think that one was actually number 5. All right, that was number 5. Some of the differences, well, that's number 6. And then we talk about the differences throughout because they're more specific. But these are just general first constitutions, what they provide. Which constitution allows more ways for amendments to be passed? Well, the US only has really one way, so it's definitely the Florida Constitution. Which constitution deals with education and elections? Now, this is a trick question because we didn't really talk about it, but strictly, that's a state issue. Education, elections, state responsibilities, but you would have known that if you had gotten through federalism. And then that's basically it. So I want to tell you something. You're going to have a short 10-question quiz now. So let me stop sharing. All right. You're going to have a short 10-question quiz. It's open notes. You guys are lucky. You've already seen it. I've given you clues on some of the answers. So this last one, you're going to get it tomorrow, and you have till the end of the year to submit it. So all the work that you've done up till now, you have until technically June 4th. Now, I'll be grading up to the last minute, but I would suggest you get everything in by June 3rd. So if you're missing anything, feel free to keep bugging me about getting videos to watch in order to retake quizzes and stuff. So this will get you open notes tomorrow. You got any time to take it over the next 4 days. And so this is it. This is our last one. And I just want to say, for those of you that are on with me right now, it has truly been an honor to teach you guys civics this year. I know we've had some arguments and disagreements, some of us, but I've had a great time teaching you guys, and I really hope that you've enjoyed learning some of this stuff. I know it's a little crazy and not easy to understand, but I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm going to go right into, for those of you that want to stay, I'm going to stop this recording, and then I'm going to go into just a quick little federalism reteach, and then I'll record that one too, and then go right into posting these this afternoon, so you'll be set for tomorrow. So I've unmuted everybody. Is there any questions that you have before I stop the recording?
I have a question, but it's not for the thing.
Okay, just real quick, anything as far as the guided notes and quiz tomorrow? All right, go ahead, Alexi.
Am I missing anything? I don't think